Hey teachers, this week we are talking all things back to school with 10 back to school activities to help build community in your classroom and set expectations for the school year. All right, so before we dive into our top 10 list, I just want to take a moment to ask you to please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We create all of the content here on this channel for free, and by taking the time to do those things, it allows us to continue producing more free content for all of you, and it really helps this channel to grow. So thank you for taking the time to do that. Now, let's go ahead and dive straight into our list. The first activity I have for you is one that I use every year, and it is a simple brown paper bag activity. So what you're gonna do with this is at the end of the first day of school, you're gonna give each student a brown paper bag. They're gonna take the brown paper bag home that night. They're gonna decorate the outside of the bag and fill it with 3 to 5 things that tell about them. The next day, on the second day of school, they're gonna bring their bag in. You're gonna have all the students sit them in the front of the class. And what I like to do is go through each bag and have students guess, who do you think this one belongs to based on the way it's decorated? After we determine whose bag belongs to who, then each student comes to the front of the room and shares the content of their bag and helps all of us to get to know them a little bit better. Now, I always like to participate in this activity too. I always fill a bag with a couple items that tell about me, and one of those things is always a picture of my girl Penny Lane. If you have been following this channel for long, you know that she is my sidekick. And one fun thing about that is I always tell the kids if they can figure out where Penny Lane's name comes from, they will learn another fun fact about me. And so it's always really cute because the kids go home and they try to figure out where her name comes from, and then they come in and tell me, and they try to keep it a secret from everybody else. So if you can tie something like that into it too, it really helps build a connection with your students and allows them to get to know you on a deeper level. But real quick before we move on, does anybody here know where Penny Lane's name came from? Go ahead and let me know if you know it down in the comments. Next up on our back to school list are STEM challenges. STEM challenges are great for the first week of school because they help build teamwork and collaboration. This is also a great way for you to introduce processes in your classroom and for you to introduce the engineering design process in your classroom because that's something you're probably going to be incorporating into your science instruction a lot throughout the school year. Speaking of science, my third activity is one that also incorporates scientific processes and experimentation into the classroom. I think after a year and a half of social distancing, all teachers are looking for ways to keep their classrooms as clean and sanitized as possible as we head back into school.
Jacques! Oui. Clean in! Oui. Ocean! Ouh, la mer! Bon. Voila, he is clean.
And that is why my third activity is a germ science experiment. For this activity, you're going to give each student a slice of bread, and the students are going to wipe the bread on their hands and then stick their slice into a Ziploc bag and use a spray bottle to squirt 1 squirt of water into the bag. They're gonna seal that bag up, label it with their name, and then you're gonna put it in a dark section of the room or a closet or a cupboard for a couple of days. Now, when you go to pull those bags out, your students are going to be shocked because there are going to be some pretty disgusting things growing on their slices of bread. So this is a great way to show students that they have germs on their hands, and when they're not washing those hands, those germs spread everywhere. Now, I like to even take this experiment a step further. In addition to doing slices of bread that they wipe their hands on, I'll also have them take a couple slices of bread and wipe them on door handles or commonly touched places, and we'll label those bags as well, just to show them that germs are everywhere, and that is important. Why we wash hands, we use hand sanitizer, we use our wipes, anything we can to keep the classroom clean, especially after the year that we've just all gone through. All right, activity number 4 is a class time capsule, and this is something that I love so much. And what you're gonna do is the first week of school, each student is going to pick one thing that represents them at the start of the school year. You may also want to include some things that represent your class or your school. I also like to take some pictures and include pictures in the time capsule so that when we get to the end of the school year, students can see how much they've changed over just a couple of months. But you're gonna fill that capsule up, and you can use anything for your capsule. You can use a box, you can use a tub. As teachers, we have all kinds of storage things around our classroom, so just use what you have. Put that time capsule away for the school year, and then the last week of school, go ahead and open it up, talk about all the things that are in it. If students still have the same interests at the end of the school year, how have they changed from the start? This is just a really fun activity that also gives you something to do that last week of school when you're looking for ways to engage students. We are officially halfway through this back to school list, and the 5th activity is a back to school bingo game. So for this activity, you are going to create bingo cards with different descriptions of things that students may like or have. So it could include things such as took a beach vacation, has a sister, all kinds of things. Then students are going to go around the room and they are going to find other students in the class that meet those descriptions. Those students will sign the square that matches them, and students will keep going until they get bingo. Now, to help save you time so that you do not have to create bingo cards on your own, I have created back to school bingo cards for you. They are included in my back to school icebreaker pack, which is linked down in the description of this video, and it's completely free. So make sure you grab that to save yourself some time. Now, if you're in the position where you need to keep your students distance, I've got you covered there too. We've got another video here on this channel all about creating virtual bingo games. So go check that video out if you're interested in learning how to make this game virtual. Next up on our back to school list are escape rooms. I have yet to meet a student who does not love completing escape rooms. Using escape rooms throughout the first week of school is a both fun and rigorous way to begin introducing content for the school year. This is also a great way to start introducing processes. So before you start an escape room, talk about how are we going to rotate through stations, or if you're doing a digital escape room, how do we use the computer? So really just talking about those processes and how students are supposed to be interacting with the content independently. Now, I have linked down in the description some of the escape rooms that I've made. I've got escape rooms created to teach science, US history, and Virginia studies, so you can go down in the description to find those escape rooms if you do not want to create your own. Another back to school game that you can play with your students is a Would You Rather game, and this game is so simple. You are just going to read off simple statements such as, would you rather go to Disney World or go to the beach? And students are going to respond. Now you can have them respond in all different ways. You can have them raise their hands or hold up numbers for which answer they favor. You can have them get up and go stand on different sides of the classrooms. If you're looking for a movement activity, you can have your students write their answers on whiteboards and hold those up. This is a good way to introduce processes for getting out and putting away and using whiteboards, so you can really get creative with how you use this simple activity in your classroom. Now, the important piece of this is after all of the students have answered, be sure to call on 1 to 3 students to explain their answer. So that way students are getting to know each other and they're getting to know you as they complete this activity. And remember that back to school icebreakers pack that I told you is linked for free down in the description? Well, it also has a set of would you rather cards that you can use, so that way you don't have to think up your own questions. So make sure if you haven't already that you go down there and download that, so that way you have all kinds of games and activities that you can use for that first week of school. Now, when it comes to introducing the rules and expectations for my classroom, I never just like to start listing off rules and expectations. That's not fun for students. It's not fun for anybody. So my favorite way to go about doing this is with read alouds. And it does not matter how old your students are. I've always taught upper elementary, and I can tell you big kids like being read to too. Now, I'm not going to share my favorite back to school read alouds with you here because we have another video on this channel where I go through all of my favorites, and that video also has a free back to school read aloud resource that you can download. So if you're interested in using read alouds, make sure to check out that video here on the channel. All right, ready for another back to school game? Minute to Win It games are great for the first week of school. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Minute to Win It games are simple games that students complete in 1 minute. They will compete as a team, and some of the games will require them to actually work as a team, whereas other games will require 1 to 2 students to act as representatives for their team. Teams receive a point whenever they win a game, and the team with the most points after all of the rounds wins it all. Now, if you're not sure what type of games to use for your Minute to Win It games, here's a few of my favorites. First, we've got a stacking cups game, and this is a game where you're going to give students a certain number of disposable cups, and you're going to see who can build a pyramid the fastest and keep it standing. Another one that I love is a flying balloons game, and you're going to give each team the same number of balloons, and then students have to, for 1 minute, keep all of their balloons in the air. So they've got to work together on that one. Another game is the bottle to bottle game, and for this game, each team is going to have a 2-liter bottle filled with small objects. It could be things like grains of rice, cereal, any sort of thing like that. And they have to transfer the contents from that bottle to another 2-liter bottle in 1 minute without spilling any. Next up is a mummy wrap game, and this is one that is sure to get your students laughing. You're going to give each team a roll of toilet paper, and they are going to wrap another member of their team with the toilet paper. The team that covers the most of the student being wrapped wins the point. And the last Minute to Win It game that I want to share with you is the Iron Man Challenge. And for this game, one student is going to represent their entire team, and they are going to use chopsticks, and they are going to try to stack as many iron nuts into a tower as possible. Now remember, with all of these games, students only have 1 minute, so they can definitely get exciting even though they are very, very simple. Congratulations, you have made it to the 10th and final activity on this back to school list. Thank you so much for sticking with me here until the end. Now, the final activity I have for you is probably one of the simplest ones on the list, but it is one that you and your students are going to love, and that is an end of the day dance party. So you may want to create a Spotify list of appropriate music and then just play 1 to 3 songs at the end of the day and let your students get up and dance. This is so simple, but dancing is a great way to get students to open up and just really connect with each other at the beginning of the school year. So there you have it. That is my top 10 list of back to school activities that you can use as you are heading back into the classroom this school year. And I would love to hear from you. I know there are so many fun back to school games and activities that exist. So if you have something that's always a big hit with your students, please let us know by leaving a comment down below. And before we wrap things up, I also want to let you know that we have got lots of back to school videos here on this channel. So I've just shared 10 ways that you can connect with students if you are teaching in person, but we also have another video here on the channel with 10 virtual back to school activities if you will be teaching virtually or in a hybrid setting going back to school this year. You'll want to check that one out. We've also got that back to school read alouds video that has some of my favorite back to school read alouds for upper elementary. And like I said, that one also has a free back to school read aloud resource included with the video. So as you're heading back to school, I hope that you will check out all of those fun videos here on this channel. And until next time, happy teaching!